listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Writing a conclusion for IELTS Writing Task 2. Hi there IELTS students, my name's Ben Worthington. In this tutorial, we're specifically looking at the importance of a conclusion, how to restate your position, how to end with a thought-provoking idea or prediction, and we're going to look at what you should not include, and then just to make it insanely more valuable, we're going to look at samples and finally how conclusions can go wrong. Now, after correcting so many essays, I can tell you so many times how conclusions go wrong. Looking quite forward to telling you about that. But before we jump into that, let's just look at the importance of, let's just rewind. Who am I? And my name is Ben Worthington. I'm from England. I no longer sound like that because I've been a long time out of the country. I've lived in Spain, I lived in Ukraine, in Poland, Hungary, Thailand, lived all over the place. And when you're traveling and teaching English, specifically teaching English, you realize not that many people understand a northern accent. So I had to modify it. And that's why I now enunciate. And some people say, oh, you don't sound like you don't sound like an English person. And what the meaning is like, oh, you're not talking fast. You're not swallowing the end of the words. You're not clipping. You're not clipping the end of the words. And I'm just joking now. But I learned just to speak in a way that everybody can understand me, or at least have a better chance of understanding. And you'll find a lot of experienced English teachers generally gravitate to this for a few different reasons. I mean, first of all, it's easier for the students. Second of all, I don't have to keep on repeating myself. And thirdly, probably most importantly, it's an accent that can be understood and is clear is an excellent model for the students to follow. So eventually I will be moving back to England, but for the time being, I'm more than happy outside. So we'll just see. Right then, let's get to today's class, all about conclusions. Now, a good conclusion will provide closure to your writing task 2. It will probably restate the position you described in your introduction. And for the more advanced students, it will probably leave the reader with a thoughtful or general idea. Now, without a conclusion, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot score higher than a band 5. So I've said before that when I'm correcting essays and I find one paragraph essays sent in to me, it's saddening, really, because you just know instantly there's no chance of going past band 5. Now, finally, the conclusion is the last thing your examiner is going to read. So it has to be concise, accurate, and without any superfluous information. Now, how do you write a good conclusion? Well, first of all, you restate your position, and then you end with a thought-provoking idea or prediction. And there's a really solid reason to end with a prediction, which I will share with you in a second. Now, to restate your position, this means that you must give your opinion again. But be careful, you cannot write it with the same language you used in your introduction, and you cannot write it with the same language you used in your body paragraphs. So you need new and novel vocabulary. Also, new and novel grammar, because you cannot rephrase, you cannot copy, paste. Now, the second point about leaving with or ending with a thought-provoking idea or prediction. This is probably quite difficult in exam conditions. And it's probably the last thing on your mind when you are finishing your essay. You've got to manage your time. You've got to check for mistakes. You've got to review it. There's a lot going on. You're probably going to go through, ideally as well, and maybe modify and update and upgrade certain terms. So adding these kind of like thought-provoking, clever or ideas or these prediction might be a little bit challenging. And this is why in our online course, we teach you quite a straightforward way to do this. It's quite effective, but we encourage you to do it in most of the essays that you send us. And the reason is because just like any other muscle or skill, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So if you try it the first time and without the structure, without a sort of like set structure for you to use, it's probably quite difficult, especially in exam conditions, as I just said. However, if you try it with the structure given to you, and you try it multiple times, and within those multiple times you're getting feedback while you're doing it, then it just makes it incredibly easier. It makes it almost seamless and automatic come exam day. And that's what we want. We want a peaceful, straightforward, high-scoring exam day where you get to show the examiner your true ability in your writing. Now then, let's have a look at what conclusions should not include. Now, I remember learning this point so vividly. I was teaching some students and I told them, do not include new ideas. And one of the students' faces just went, huh? And she did not like it. And I'm like, no, you just don't. And fair enough. You can do, because after all, this is language, this is like an essay writing process, you can do, but in most cases, it can be dangerous because it could be completely off topic. Secondly, it could be kind of confusing. So basically, you can do it, but you need to be quite well versed, you need to be quite well practiced, and to do it well takes a lot of skill, takes quite a lot of experience. So I would generally just avoid it. So just end of story, I would avoid it. Okay, unless it's absolutely essential. But why would it be absolutely essential that you do it? So ideally, you're only going to include the ideas briefly. Okay, you're going to briefly include the ideas that you've mentioned before in your body paragraphs. Right? Let's have a go. So we've got the question. Communication through text messaging and other forms of instant online communication are short and basic. Some people think this will be the death of grammar and spelling. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Listen to the sample conclusion. To conclude, while there is risk of diluting language through continuous use of text messaging, I believe that this can be avoided if we, as a society, continue reading regularly and consciously. Language will survive and flourish. First of all, who thinks that's a great conclusion? Who thinks that's a terrible one? It's actually quite a good one. And the reason why is because it's brief, it's only 2 sentences long, but it incorporates the elements necessary to score well in your writing task too. The position is clearly stated. While there is a risk of diluting language through continuous use of text messaging, I believe that this can be avoided. It's quite clear. There is a prediction for the future if we, as a society, continue reading regularly and consciously. Language will survive and flourish. 2 more points. There's advanced vocabulary there. Diluting, continuous, consciously, and flourish. That's quite high-level vocabulary. Finally, advanced grammar is used in both sentences. So we've got the conjunction. While there is a risk of diluting, Yeah. And then also we've got a conditional at the end. If we as a society, you see, so there's quite two sophisticated elements there. We've got sophisticated vocabulary, and these are the ingredients, so to speak, for writing a solid, high-scoring conclusion. Now, let's move on to how conclusions can go wrong. So let's have a look at the next question. The internet provides us with information about life and cultures of different countries. And some people say it is not necessary to visit these countries to learn about them. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Give your opinion and relevant examples. Here's the sample conclusion. To conclude, travel is expensive, dangerous, and time-consuming. We should avoid traveling and spend time with our friends and family instead. Recent studies have shown that when children spend time with their parents, both recorded feelings of well-being. In the future, we will spend more time with our parents. Oof. That's what we could call a train crash of a conclusion. Now, why is that a train crash of a conclusion? First of all, it's off topic. Yeah, the question was not about the negatives of travel, but the student has focused on that, and we can assume that they probably started off incorrectly with their introduction, followed the lead of their introduction and wrote 2 body paragraphs off topic about the negatives of travel. So it's off topic. Also, we've got new ideas that were not mentioned in the body paragraphs. So we want to avoid that. And then finally, there's a prediction, okay, but it's nothing to do with the actual task response. In the future, we will spend more time with our parents. There's not even the word about parents or even families. So it's very off topic. I'll read you the question again. The internet provides us with information about life and cultures of different countries, and some people say it is not necessary to visit these countries to learn about them. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Give your opinion and relevant examples. The final sentence, in the future, we will spend more time with our parents. Oh my word. Train crash. And I see essays like this, and it's quite easy to get off topic, especially if your introduction is also off topic, because it's just natural to follow on and to develop the arguments that you've written about in your introduction. This is why in the sentence guide, we strongly advise students not to start their essay question with the introduction. You start with a solid plan. And in the course, we give you a system to follow. We give you a process by which you can dissect the question, you can break it up. From there, you can plan your answer. And then once you've planned your body paragraphs, you can write your introduction. And it's just so much more straightforward. It's almost impossible to mess up the task response, unless you mess it up in the planning process. But even then, the process we've got, the process we teach, we encourage you to double and triple check. And the good thing is with the online course is that you get feedback as you're progressing through the course and writing your essays. You're getting that feedback from IELTS examiners, from experienced tutors who can guide you and help you improve. Now then, there is a prediction, just going back to the conclusion, the poor conclusion. There is a prediction, but again, it's not related to the task. And finally, you can't really draw a conclusion. You can't really deduce the actual position of the writer, okay? Because it's off topic. Now, a good example would sound something like this. To conclude, I believe the internet provides endless sources of information about the world around us, but it can never replace travel fully. No internet site or application is yet to provide the transformative experience of travel, nor do I think it ever will. Wow, what a beautiful conclusion. Why is it beautiful? It's brief, it's only 2 sentences long, but it incorporates the main points necessary to score well. Now, some students may think that 2 sentences is the rule. Be careful about oversimplifying advice. 2 sentences in this case is fine because, as you'll find out, we've clearly stated the position, we've got advanced grammar, and we've got a thought-provoking idea at the end there as well. And it was all condensed into 2 medium-length sentences. In some cases, to include all those points I just mentioned, we may need 3 sentences. We may need 2 medium ones and a short sentence. Don't take it as a hard and fast rule that your conclusion has to be 2 sentences. If you're going to take anything, just try and make it brief, make it clearly stated. As a bonus, you can add the thought-provoking idea, but definitely include advanced vocabulary and advanced grammar. Obviously, easier said than done. If you're struggling with finding advanced vocabulary and advanced grammar, the online course has structures and has examples and plenty of sample sentences, and also you're going to get the feedback on using those, and it just speeds up your progress significantly. Now let's have a look at the clearly stated position. I don't think you can get much clearer than that. I believe the internet provides endless sources of information about the world around us, but it can never replace travel fully. Beautiful. And then the more thought-provoking sentence, or the thought-provoking idea, which is on topic. No internet site or application has yet to provide the transformative experience of travel, nor do I think it ever will. Okay, so we've got the advanced vocabulary, transformative experience, and then the advanced grammar, especially with the nor do I think it ever will. A stylistic element there. You don't see it that often. That's the kind of level you want to be writing at if you're going for a band 7 or especially a band 8 or 9. Final points. Now, the conclusion is a vital component of IELTS writing task 2. They should be brief but well structured. Okay, they should be concise. This will allow you to focus more time on your body paragraphs, because this is where the bulk of the points are going to be picked up. Now, if your conclusion or your introductions are causing you problems, there is no reason why you cannot find a list of task 2 questions and then just practice and practice your introductions and your conclusions. In some cases, you're going to find there might be a mirror image of each other. That's fine. Just make sure it's not a copy-paste mirror image. Now, if you are serious about improving your writing, then the fastest way is to get feedback. You can get feedback possibly in your city or in your town or from somebody who's already practiced IELTS. But just remember that if you're getting feedback from a tutor, ideally they are specialized in IELTS preparation. You don't want to just get an English teacher who's been teaching 5-year-olds the alphabet for the last 5 years and then ask them to give you feedback on your essay. It's not going to work. The value you're going to get is questionable. Secondly, if a friend who's passed IELTS is giving you feedback, it's better than nothing, but just take it with a grain of salt, because they might be missing errors, or some features in your native language could be carried over to English and they might sound right, whereas a native English speaker might think they sound unnatural. And finally, don't stand for getting your work corrected where they just rip you to pieces, because this can be heartbreaking. You've put in all this work into your essay, and they just say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. This can be really demotivating. As a side note, I am learning Hungarian at the moment. There is some incredibly difficult vocabulary. When I get it right, I go, yes, internally, and I give myself the praise, because my teacher, she criticizes me when I get it wrong, but she never rewards me when I get it right. And I'm a big guy, I'm a big lad, I can take it, it doesn't hurt me, and you're probably the same with your IELTS essays, but it doesn't have to be like that. You know, if you get your essay corrected with us, we're going to reward you, we're going to tell you where you're going right, we'll also tell you where you're going wrong. We're not going to just sugarcoat it. If it's a train crash, we'll tell you it's a train crash, but we'll give you the tools to fix your train and get it back on track, back on the railroad towards a band 7 or above, so you can go to university abroad, you can start work as a doctor, as a nurse in England or Australia, Canada, wherever, or you can get your permanent residency. We're here to get you where you want to be. That's it from me. Good luck with the IELTS preparation. And if you want to take it to the next level, the next step is to sign up to our email newsletter, or even just go straight to getting an essay correction and starting that transformative experience. Take care.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.